50% of marriages end in divorce or separation. So out of 100 marriages, 50% end in divorce and marriage. And out of those 50 couples that are divorcing, 25 of those couples are divorcing due to financial reasons. So it should come as no surprise to you that one of the largest components in the divorce, outside of children in custody, is in fact the finances, right? So there you are, you find yourself in this reality where you do in fact want to move forward with filing for divorce. And you're unable to resolve the issue with your spouse, so now it's called a contested divorce. So you hire an attorney, right? You want to do the right thing. You want to make sure that you're represented properly. The first thing that happens once you hire the attorney within a few weeks is you will get 2 forms in your inbox, 2 financial statements. One of them is called the income statement, and one of them is called the asset and debt statement. They are what one would think very straightforward forms. They're only 2 pages each. You're familiar with most of the terms, and it's your responsibility to fill them out to the best of your ability. But here's the thing. In every single case that I have been a part of surrounding divorce, I can tell you that the expectation that you have, that clients have, is that once you fill out this form, again, to the best of your ability, you're going down the line items and you realize, oh God, I don't have the answer to this, or I don't know, or I don't have access to this. So you give it back to the attorney, basically somewhat incomplete, thinking that the attorney is going to have some kind of crystal ball or magic wand to be able to get the information in that document to best represent you. But guess what? That's not the case. Why? Well, because you've hired the attorney to represent you. But I don't think it's wide knowledge that you also have to represent yourself, i.e., show up with all of the information so that the attorney can then advocate and represent you. So if you were missing all of these pieces, you can't expect to be properly represented. So in certain cases where one of the parties finds that they don't have the information to add into the financial report to best represent them, they will have to go to the next level and hire a forensic auditor. What does that mean? Well, more money, more time. So now you have a third party whose specialty is to sift through, locate, and analyze financial documents, whether it's personal finances, business finances, anything commingled, anything sole and separate, but it is a separate step. It is a separate expense. And many people at that point can't afford it, especially when we're talking about estates that are being split that are under the $1 million mark. At that point, after you're paying off debt, after you're having the conversation, after you're paying off lawyer fees, etc., it's just not cost effective to have to hire in this third party at potentially $250 an hour. But you're thinking that your attorney is going to be able to crusade for you in this fashion, and the reality is, number one, they aren't, not for the basic fee. And number two, it's been my experience, again, that they don't have that skill set or desire to do that part, which seems kind of crazy to me too. So when I started to see this more and more, I wanted to understand the why behind it. So I started to think critically. So the first thing that I did was I went and familiarized myself with the courses that lawyers take in school. And then of course, obviously they go into their separate practices. And just like regular college, you have to take mandatory courses, and then you can take a few electives, right? That are more geared to your niche. Well, it should come as no surprise that attorneys are not required to be taking high-level accounting courses, high-level business courses, high-level operations courses, and high-level forensic auditing courses. That's just not in their purview. But they're representing you in these areas. So I thought that was super interesting. So knowing this, understanding this, right? Here you are, in the situation of divorce, emotions are high, fear is high, and there are other moving parts. And now all of a sudden you have to tell a financial story that you haven't been recording or analyzing in the last 10, 20 years. So all of a sudden you're required to put on your financial analyst hat or your forensic auditor hat, right? It sounds crazy, but this is where the cases are lost. This is where the individual walks out going, oh my gosh, how did this happen? Well, it happened because your financial affairs weren't in order. It happens because you were asleep at the wheel. It happens because you didn't take pride in the operations of your household. And that is probably the reason you're in the situation you're in, divorce, or at least one of the reasons why you're moving towards divorce. So there are two important things that we really need to have a conversation about. One of them is financial statements. They are important. They are important whether you have a business or not. Many people think, why would I have to understand what an income statement is and a balance sheet? Because it's important. Clearly, because this is the make or break for your case. So even if you have never worked a day in your life, even if you don't own businesses, even if you are a W-2 employee and you don't understand anything about finance, all of a sudden, the day comes where this finance, income statement, balance sheet determines your entire future. So having a good handle on this early on, and when I mean early on, I mean early on. As soon as you can add and subtract and multiply, that early on. This has nothing to do with math. It has everything to do with record keeping and documenting. That's why I feel confident in saying to you, you can do this, you can master this. And not only is it going to set you up for success when the rug is completely pulled out from under you, but it allows you to be on the offense in your everyday life. It's going to be important when you are applying for loans. It's going to be important when you decide that you do in fact want to acquire a business or go into business for yourself. It's going to be important should you ever have to defend yourself in a matter of taxation. Actually, another thing that's somewhat mind-blowing is something as simple as filling out, let's say, a FAFSA report for student loans and grants. I bet you didn't know that you were filling out an income statement and a balance sheet. So wouldn't it be great to have a handle on that information and how that information is analyzed so you were confident in the numbers you were putting on the sheet? Wouldn't it be amazing if you were confident and understood the numbers and how they're analyzed when it comes to applying for a home loan versus just walking in and sending over a bunch of documents and getting stressed out with the underwriter, not understanding the nuances? And not to go off topic, but I've worked with several lenders and several underwriters who don't understand these financial statements, especially for people who are in business for themselves and who have partnership returns or, comprehensive Schedule Cs. Yes, I'm telling you, every single day in business, in life, it would be amazing if we understood the nuances of an income statement and a balance sheet. But specifically for the purposes of this conversation, divorce. These are the two documents that are going to be the make or break. These are the two documents that pretty much summarize 2 decades of your life. And while you guys are ripping each other apart during this process, and you're stressing out and you're potentially displaced and you're scared and you're not making informed decisions because you can't think straight, wouldn't it have been amazing if all of this would already have been done? You know what would be even more amazing? is nobody wakes up in the middle of the night and goes, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to file for divorce, right? This is something that you contemplate for time, over time. You're thinking about it, the pros and the cons, cause and effect. What if, what if, what if, what if? Well, what if you already had a roadmap that dictates the outcome of your decisions? Let me run that back for you. You had the roadmap that tells you the outcome because you're showing up prepared with all of your ammunition to be able to advocate for yourself and protect your interests. Whoa! So many people think that that's the responsibility of an attorney. No, the attorney is only good at representing you if they have the information at hand, and not just the information, but the correct information. Don't even get me started on the fact that many people fill out these forms completely wrong. And then once we get into court and we start fighting about things, the minute that during this process, one person or the other is found to have presented information that is non-correct, your credibility is out the window. And many times it wasn't even intentional. It's just the fact that you don't know how to fill out the fucking form. And I have been through it multiple times with clients where they're asking the attorney, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And the attorney's like, I can't think. It's line 9. This is what it says. Either you have it or you don't. Either you know the amount or you don't. They're not there to interpret the literal. They're not there to interpret your business. So do you see why this is so important to have a handle on this information? And let me just take it one step further to really hit this concept home. Like I said before, out of 100 couples, 50 are going to get divorced, and 25 of those, it's due to financial situations. So just imagine if you made this a priority, either before your marriage or during your marriage, or both. Number one, if you were looking at life through this lens, truly understanding the ebbs and flows of income statements and balance sheets, and you have best practices in tracking, and you are disciplined in how you operate within money, assets, liability, debt, think about what kind of extraordinary individual you are. Think about what you will be attracting. Think about the energy that you give off every day. Confident, certain, transparent, honest. All qualities that assist in keeping a marriage strong. Even should there come a day when the marriage has to dissolve. Imagine being a part of something wonderful during that time with your partner and being able to show up at this unfortunate day with both of your documents, knowing that all the T's have been crossed, all the I's have been dotted, because this is something that you've been honoring and tracking in your entire relationship. At which point you can say, well, this is pretty straightforward. We've been doing this our entire marriage. So there should be nothing additional to discuss. There should be no questions. There should be no secrets. There should be no surprises. It's very straightforward according to the letter of the law. Just imagine. So, though I myself have 2 failed marriages, I will tell you, they did not end based on finance. So any type of information that I do present to you not only comes from my heart. As you can see, I get very passionate about certain topics, but it's also because I've lived it and I've walked the walk. In this particular case, I can definitely speak with authority. Finances have always been transparent. There's always been a spreadsheet. There's always been a book. There's always been a conversation about decisions. There's always been a conversation about risk management, for better or for worse. But the beauty of it is, those were things that we weren't fighting about at the end, right? So the moral of the story is this: get really comfortable with the 2 financial statements, the income statement and the balance sheet, because you're gonna need them for every single area of your life. And do not be asleep at the wheel in your relationship, because nobody can advocate for you the way you can.